The following show contains views and opinions that may not be suitable for all audiences. Audience discretion is advised.
Howdy, 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 everybody, and welcome to Thespian Talk. I am your host, Gomer the Ranting Thespian, and with me is the Cat.
Hello, everyone.
And Aaron Mills, aka Dubious Khan.
Greetings, citizens, in this best of all possible futures in year 214 of the computer. Serve the computer! The computer is your friend!
What? And I'd rather...
Oh, trust me, there's people listening. They'll understand.
I would rather serve the computers of the current administration. But for now, before we get into any topics or heavy things or whatever, a little bit of housekeeping to do. Number one, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Gomer21XX. You throw enough money at me over there, you can get some ad space on all these little shows and videos that I do. There is one person who does that. She is Beth Cody. She has a podcast called Invest with Beth. It's got a website, investwithbeth.com. And if you're looking to get into real estate business, that sort of thing like that, go check it out. Have a good listen. She has some interviews with some people that know what the hell they're doing. She's gotten into it and she's been able to make a living at it, so I kind of trust that she knows what she's talking about. So the website is investwithbeth.com. It's also on iTunes. They haven't updated in a while, but you know, when you get busy, you get busy, kind of like us. So I can't really bitch about that. And of course, as always, I like to make a shout out to CirclePlus.co, run by Lady Jess and Holly Christine. They're a site that is based around the premise of just ladies doing video production or article writing or what have you. It's by females, for females, of females, all that good stuff. And it is the home of Late Night with Bisexuals, another very good podcast you should really go and listen to, because Jess and Holly they do a really damn good job. So, yeah, go listen to them if you haven't already. So with all of that out of the way, yeah. So that happened. The election happened. It came, it went, and for me, it's kind of weird because for me, it is got that memory quality that and some people might want to fuss at me about comparing it to something like this, but it's similar to me in terms of where was I at the time, to 9/11. And you could say whether or not it's horrible or not. You know, if you follow me, you know what I think about it. But I remember where I was when I learned, oh my God, America elected Biff Tannen. That would be Donald Trump for those who don't get the reference. There you go. Yeah. So, but at either way, America elected the bad guy. And don't think that, okay, we can just impeach Trump eventually, because he'll do something stupid, we can impeach him. He's got somebody worse behind him. And that is now Vice President-elect Mike Pence. And I know I've brought him up on the show a couple of times. I used to live in Indiana when when Pence was, I don't know if it was when Pence was governor or right before it, but god damn. You got Biff Tannen, you also got Emperor Palpatine. And he's putting all of these people into the cabinet, like Steve Bannon and people who are anti-progress. I don't actually call them. I can't call them conservatives anymore. I have to call them regressives, because that's what they want to do. They want to take back all of the progress we've made over the past 50 years. They want to overturn Roe v. Wade. They want to take away gay marriage rights. They want to. And that's just the two big ones I can think of right off the top of my head. So, and I think I've seen people, and I've probably thrown a couple of them out there myself, that instead of, make America great again, that's not what they actually mean. They mean make America white again. So, and naturally people are scared, and then they're upset, and if you're a big empath like me, then it really gets to you. Oh God. I've been mostly going off on the social media and everything about it, putting up news stories, and oh God. But there is one thing I do want to mention, especially about Mike Pence, which some people may be like, well, why is Mike Pence such a bad thing? I mean, he hasn't been out there like Donald Trump. Well, I have this right in front of me. I actually saved a picture of it on my phone. It's a tweet from Gavin Newsom, and he states that never forget that Mike Pence's war on women led to an HIV outbreak in Indiana that required federal intervention. And there's a little bit of an article here. When Pence became governor in 2013, okay, so he was a little bit after I was living in Indiana. Indiana continued to slash resources for the women's health provider. That would be Planned Parenthood. By 2014, state funding for Planned Parenthood had been cut nearly in half from 2005 levels. Organization was forced to close 5 of its smaller clinics, none of which had ever provided abortions, but they did provide STD testing. Ah, shit. Okay. How much of it did you were you guys hearing? Like, where did it start breaking up? Hello? Okay. Well, thankfully, OBS should. Yeah. All right. So, all right. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, and soon Scott County, Indiana, home to one of the closed clinics, became the hub of an enormous HIV outbreak. Because of Mike Pence and his regressive qualities, we had an HIV outbreak in Indiana in 2016. Well, not quite 2016, but in the 2010s. This should not be happening. Not to that degree. And these are the people that America wanted to put in power, that a bunch of David Dukes got together and said, hey, you know what, we gonna put him in power because he gonna make America white again. And the people who voted for him, who aren't necessarily racist, well, guess what, guys? You enabled him. You enabled a fucking racist. You fucking morons. Yes, I'm calling you morons. Because that's the only way I can really justify it in my own brain as to how somebody could vote for Trump. Just seriously, and I know there's some people who be like, oh, wait a minute, that's kind of, yeah, it is a little insulting, and but I'm willing to bet, you know, and of course we all know that we can't insult Trump or anybody who's loyal to Trump without anybody getting a Twitter earful, like the cast of Hamilton found out. But then again, they didn't even insult him. They waited till the end of their show, their curtain call, and they spoke to Vice President-elect Mike Pence, saying, hey, you know what? Let's try for equality. Let's try for advancing things, you know, because that always works. But you know what? Can't blame them for trying. Sure. And Donald Trump is demanding they apologize. It's like, no. Nobody should have to apologize to Mike Pence for something like that, especially when it was done in a peaceful manner. I've got so many thoughts all over this, and I will admit, over the past 3 weeks, I've been listening to, you know, there's like the one episode of What the Fuck that I've listened to since the election has come about. NPR's politics podcast has been all over it, naturally. The podcast Guys We Fucked has talked about it. And pretty much every time I hear something about Donald Trump and what he is trying to pull, I just have to pause for a moment and start raging at my windshield. Because that is how infuriating the man is. Because he is somebody who has no respect for anybody unless they, I'll just put it as crudely as possible, unless they suck his cock, hard enough. Okay? That's the kind of man Donald Trump is. And here's something that's possibly worse, and I think I brought it up with Becky at one point. What's worse than just Trump being in charge is Trump possibly being a puppet to all of the Mike Pences and Steve Bannons and Paul Ryans of the Republican Party, which, by the way, now is it's it is now the balance is tipped toward the Republicans, and oh god, they're already starting. Like there is a news story out there. I didn't put it in the file, but they're going to start trying to come for your Medicaid. Just, there it is. So that should give you an idea of what they want to do in order to screw over the American people. Unless you're the 1%. I think I've been needing to get some of that out. I don't smoke, but I have water, and that'll have to do. Oh, and to be fair, more will probably come about, just little snarksness here and there, but that's the big bulk that I wanted to right now, and also to keep it within 10 minutes, which is something we all agreed upon before we started this. So, and plus we've got other things to talk about too. Oh, so the election, yeah, I've put out more of my thoughts about it on social media. There's my big rant about it here. You'll probably hear a lot of snark coming from me at certain points, like I do. So besides the election, so it's been a few weeks. In fact, the last show we did was before the election. So, Aaron, how have you been these past few weeks?
I've been all right. As I am currently recording from the last show I'll be doing from this location. I am moving next week to a new apartment, and I got a nice little screw you from the universe just before then. I had to throw my bed out.
Oh no!
Yeah,
Oh,
I had bed bugs,
ugh.
so yeah.
Yeah, and beds are not cheap.
Nope.
Oh,
Fortunately, my parents have indicated that that's probably going to be the Christmas present this year is a new bed. So
there you go. And hey, at least you don't have to pay for one, right?
Yep.
Oh, and Kat, how have you been?
Oh, I'm all right. This is actually like my first holiday season not working in retail in like the last 6 years. So mostly I've just been saying silent prayers for my former coworkers and everybody else who works retail.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I was hoping that I wouldn't be on the road over Thanksgiving and Black Friday weekend, but unfortunately, here I am. I'm sitting at a truck stop right outside of Indy, um, which just tells you where my weekend has went. But luckily for me, I guess I got a little lucky because I did have to drive on Black Friday, but my day had to start earlier because I had to get a load somewhere by like 5:40 or 6 o'clock in the morning. And I want to say this right now. If you're a company that deals with truck drivers on a regular basis, and I don't mean like your local drivers or anything. I mean, the over-the-road drivers like me. And you have a policy, you have a company policy that requires your drivers from, no matter where they're from, if it requires them to have a safety vest, you should provide them. Because if you don't, then you have situations where you have a driver that has to go 5 to 7 miles to the nearest store, happens to be a Walmart, and pick one up. And the vest I ended up getting was almost $20. Thank you, Walmart. Fuck you. Ugh. And it was on a Black Friday, which I got lucky because of the timing, that it wasn't very busy. Although I saw some of the people there, it was like skeleton crew up front. And I'm sitting there like, oh dear. But then again, Walmart is also one of those stores that starts their Black Friday deals on Thanksgiving. Because fuck family. Yeah. Walmart. Always fuck family. Always. I should have worded that better.
Don't actually fuck your family. That's incest.
No.
Yeah. Even if it is Alabama.
Yeah. Alabama, Arkansas, where they're from, doesn't matter. Just don't do it. Do not do it. Ugh. But yeah, our first news story for this week, we're actually gonna go further north, up to Salem, Massachusetts, where they decided, hey, we're gonna burn some witches, even though they weren't really witches. They were just women who were more liberal than they would like. A Massachusetts college says an art exhibit has been temporarily suspended after students complained about a painting that depicted several members of the Ku Klux Klan. Salem State University spokeswoman Nicole Giambuso says the digital painting by Lowell artist Gary Harley, yeah, I read that right, was placed in the school's Winfiske Gallery as part of an exhibit titled State of the Union. Oh. The Salem News reports the exhibit launched November 9th. Giambuso says the school officials set up a forum on Monday that included students, faculty, the curator, and Harley. After the forum, the school decided to temporarily suspend the exhibit. The art and design department chair, a professor, and the exhibit curator apologized in a letter to the school community. Harley says the painting was meant as a piece of social commentary. And that right there, the social commentary, is where I go from to, okay, I get this. Because if you look at the State of the Union, which is the exhibit, the current State of the Union, with the Trump presidency and his cabinet that's coalescing, that I ranted about just a few minutes ago, and the KKK and people like them being more empowered because of all of this, yeah, I think it's, I think it fits. Social commentary. Yes, because the KKK are still a thing, despite what some people may try and tell you. And hey, I even attracted one of those on my Facebook at one point. But that's for a different time. Kat, do you have any thoughts about this?
I think context is really important. We don't really know what this painting of the KKK looks like and what sort of message it's promoting. If it's, sort of celebrating the KKK, then obviously that's a problem. But if it's like demeaning the KKK and is, acting as a social commentary for the State of the Union, then I think it's entirely appropriate because that's a thing. It shouldn't be a thing. But currently the KKK is a thing. You'd think we would be over this by now, but America is not.
No. And in fact, there is a clavern not far from my stomping grounds at home. Bear in mind, I'm from Florida. And there's even one near Chicago. So, yeah, they're still around. Aaron, do you have any thoughts?
I'm with Kat on this one. This story does not provide enough context to determine why people were offended. We need to know exactly what the painting in question looked like and what it was. I agree with Kat. If it was something promoting the KKK, maybe it doesn't necessarily need to be displayed. If it's using it, designed to show what the danger is, then yes, by all means, it should be displayed. And the people, if this is just, I am not someone who rants against, and uses terms like SJW. I hate that. I'm so tired of it. The phrase has lost all meaning. But there are people who are absolutely offended by anything that contradicts their worldview, and they don't want to see it at all, and that's their right and all that and everything. But if we're talking like this is a picture that is staunchly portraying the KKK in a negative light, as well it should, and they're screaming just because they're offended that the KKK is in it at all, regardless of the context, then yeah, I need more information before I can make a call on this. I can't.
Yeah, and then that's fair. And honestly, I think you two probably put a lot of it better than I could have at this point. So yeah. Context is key. Next one is out of Cedar Hill. I think that is in Texas. Yeah, well, maybe.
Who knows? It's a generic enough name. It could be anywhere, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, this one, I have a feeling that this is gonna strike a little bit to cat me on this one. An Army veteran whose Veterans Day meal was taken away by a manager of Chili's Bar and Grill has moved away from his home because of threatening phone calls received after the incident was publicized. Ernest Walker, 47, went to a Chili's Bar and Grill in Cedar Hill on Veterans Day for the Chain's promotion of a free meal for veterans, like you do. Later, as Walker was getting ready to leave with a to-go box to pick up his wife, a manager he identified as Wesley Patrick approached him and said a customer told him that Walker is not a real soldier because I had my hat on indoors, quote. And customers nearby could hear him, Walker wrote on Facebook. Okay. Not a real soldier because he had his hat on indoors? What kind of bullshit is that? And I know it's bullshit. Let me give you an example here because my dad is a veteran, okay? He didn't go and fight in any wars. He was one of the guys, he was signing up the guys to go out and fight. But he's still a veteran. He still served. And he wears, like me, when he goes out just in casual, casually going around or whatever, he wears a hat. Usually a baseball cap or what have you. And he'll go and he will go to these places and he will wear the cap. The only time he really takes it off is like if he offers a prayer before a meal or whatever, like you do. So that doesn't make him any less of a veteran. He still served his country. Same with this guy, Ernest Walker. He still served his country, And then the article goes on to state that, the manager refused to acknowledge the military documents and even took away his to-go box. And it was all caught on video, by the way, that went viral. So even with proof, the proof was there. Chili's should have said, okay, you know what? Yeah, you are a veteran. There shouldn't have been this bullshit line that says, oh, you didn't do this. This is not what soldiers do, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, who the fuck are... Okay, who is it? Wesley Patrick? Who the fuck are you, Wesley Patrick, to determine whether or not somebody is a soldier based on your arbitrary boundaries? Like,
I don't get it, because if you get a military discount or anything like that, you show your military ID.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they know that you're a veteran.
Yeah.
You either have a retired ID or an active ID or whatever. That's how they know. All he had to do was say, hey, I'd like to see your military ID, if he was really that concerned about it. But instead, he listened to, the poor advice of some other person who said, well, he wears his hat indoors. He's not a real military person. He's just wearing a fucking ball cap. Who gives a shit? This is just like that whole... It's just racism. I'm sorry. There's no two ways about it. If that had been a white guy in some sort of ball cap, this would not have ever come up.
Yeah. And yeah, I didn't even think to bring up the race angle about it, because it's like, yeah. It might, most likely is a race thing, especially since it of course, it went viral, and the guy's home address was inadvertently publicized by a news outlet, and he's been threatened over the phone and received a suspicious package, because that's how people work nowadays. Apparently, is we don't.
Okay, hold up, one second. Point of clarification, please.
Okay.
The story you provided does not indicate the gentleman's race.
This is true.
Is he actually not white? Do we know this?
There is video, I think, on the article itself. We don't have it here. I'm kind of limited on what we can put in our news files here, because that's all text-based. But the link is provided. The link is always in the doobly-doo. Go to the link. And it has a picture and video of the guy. The guy is black.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I was not clear about that. That's my fault. I apologize for that. But yeah.
Do continue.
Yes. His wife and dog had to move out, and then and of course he's moving out, and people are sending him money to help, with things or whatever. And he's like, he's wanting to take money, that people want to send him, and say, okay, you know what? You can set up a GoFundMe to help other veterans who are needy, that who might need the money. He's doing fine. He's saying, okay, don't send it to me. Send it to these guys who need it more. Like your veterans that are on the side of the highway there, that are homeless and foodless, and have a lot more need than he does. Now, Chili's has since apologized for the incident, and the man, Merritt, which is the lawyer, by the way, is Walker's attorney there, hasn't had an opportunity to pass along the threats. Some of the threats Walker has reviewed involve messages saying they know where Walker lives, and have looked up the social media profiles for Walker's adult children. It's like, god damn, what the hell, people. And many of the threats, according to the article, come from ex-military who have chosen to believe that Mr. Walker has stolen valor. Who the fuck would steal valor? No. That's something you don't do.
Lots of people do it. It's a really shitty thing to do.
Yeah. And for some reason, I'm thinking of one of my cousins who may have done that, so I think I shot my own self in the foot there. But still, it's like...
Again, another point of clarification. I do not come from a military family, so I am not familiar with this concept. And our listeners may not be either.
Stolen valor is basically when somebody goes around saying or pretending to have been in the military so that people will basically look up to them, praise them, and give them free stuff.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like I want to feel good about myself, so I'm going to pretend that I did something courageous.
Yeah.
All right.
It would be like a point of thing for me, make a little personal on me. Again, like I've mentioned, my dad is a veteran, and there have been times I've had to use their cars to get around or whatever. And of course, their vehicles have like the U.S. veteran stuff on them because my dad will drive either one. I have actually had somebody come up to me and thank me for my service, and I had awkwardly tell them that's my dad's car. It wasn't me.
Oh no!
It's like, thankfully it was all nice and calm. They understood. So, but if I hadn't done that, if I had taken that, then yeah, as Kat has described, that would be stolen honor to kind of help put a face on it, if you will. Speaking of faces, well, before we go on, Aaron, do you have anything else to add on this one? I know Kat and I have been kind of adding in on this one.
Well, you guys have more experience with this than I do. Like I said, I do not. Myself and my family do not come from a military background, so I have trouble with some of the mindset of that. So,
okay.
When I say trouble, I don't mean in a negative way. I mean I just have no context and no understanding of why this is a big deal. Right. So,
all right, cool beans. So our next one, and I have to say this now, that a lot of the language used in this one, I did not edit this at all. I have edited the text, some of them, to like make it, I should do it more to make it a little bit more coherent for those that hire people and editors that don't really, use their English degrees or remember their English context or whatever, or just forget to edit out typos and the like. But this one I did not touch. It's a simple copy and paste. And I want to put that out there now, just so people don't think.
Because this is probably the most sarcastic article we've ever done.
Yes. And unfortunately, the sarcasm is not from me. James Woods has become a hero of the so-called alt-right on Twitter. But the actor, perhaps known as the winner of the 2000 Role Model Award at the Young Hollywood Awards, has decided to quit the social media service. Why? He's upset that Twitter has banned some alt-right accounts, which is pretty rich given the fact that Woods recently sued a Twitter user who called him a coke addict. Since Twitter is now in the hashtag censorship business, I will no longer use its service for my constitutional right to free speech, hashtag goodbye all, Woods tweeted last night, apparently confused about the fact that free speech laws don't apply to private companies that run services like Twitter. The actor, widely lauded for his role as security guard number 2 in the 2009 iCarly episode I Want My Website Back, has used the service since September of 2009. He racked up over 13,000 tweets, really? Lightweight. Including this one, which called one of his fans a disgusting, reprehensible liar. Woods raised a few eyebrows last year when he sued a semi-anonymous Twitter user who had accused him of being a cocaine addict. Woods, whose performance in the 2003 TV movie Rudy, the Rudy Giuliani story, has been described as, I bought this DVD thinking it would be about football, it's not, didn't get to meet his Twitter troll in court. The man he sued for libel recently died of unknown causes. Jeebus. Woods later tweeted that he hoped the semi-anonymous Twitter user died while screaming his name and that the man was slime. The dead man's lawyers have continued to fight to keep his identity private, citing threats to his family. Learn this. Libel me, I'll sue you, Woods, a normal human being, tweeted at the time. If you die, I'll follow you to the bowels of hell. Get it? Well, if you follow him there, you're going to have a very hard time finding him. Many Twitter users who claim that they're quitting the service often come back, especially if, like Woods, they have been using the social media platform for years. But we'll take Woods at his word. Woods, who shot to fame after appearing in the 1989 documentary Hollywood on Horses about famous movie horses, could not immediately be reached for comment. So James Woods is going wah because some alt-right accounts got banned on Twitter, which, by the way, that is Twitter's right, as the article notes. Twitter is a private company. They can ban who the fuck they want. And some of you who listen to this, if you know of Lord Cat, he got banned from Twitter. And you know what he did? He didn't go and whine about it like James Woods did. He's like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. It's your right, but fuck you. I'll just be on Facebook. And so he did. He hasn't tried getting back on Twitter since. He don't give a shit. And that's kind of the attitude I think James Woods should have. when it comes to all these alt-right accounts being banned on a private service. It is well, I say private service. A service run by a private company. It is not government run. Yes, the government officials do use Twitter. That doesn't mean it's government run. So if he's going to stay off of Twitter, good. I agree with the article. I don't think he will, but whatever. Aaron, we'll start with you. What do you think?
Just typical Hollywood bullshit. There's some celebrities who, for some reason, think just because they're celebrities, their crap is more important than anybody else's crap. And honestly, this has always been one of the things that perplexes the hell out of me. Why the fuck do we care what a celebrity thinks politically if they're not actually in politics?
That is a good point.
But I mean, sure, it shows that it's an easy way to find out which one of them are assholes in real life, but still, it's like, I've heard people, it's just like, something like this happens, and, it's like, okay, great, James Woods is an asshole in real life. I'll keep that in mind should I ever run into him in real life. But honestly, is that going to stop me from watching a movie that he's in? No.
Yeah,
because he's a fairly decent actor. I don't understand that rationale. On the other side of the spectrum, my stepfather is a hardcore conservative, and he has said, "I'm not watching any movie with Johnny Depp in it because I don't like his politics." And I'm like, Johnny Depp's never said anything about his politics, and most of the time he doesn't even live in the United States. So what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most I could probably, give Johnny Depp shit for is I think he, oh God, I think he's kind of I can't think of the word, something positive about Roman Polanski. I don't know, and with Roman Polanski, being the guy who decided, hey, you know what, yeah, we know what he did.
We know what Roman Polanski did. We know what'll happen to him if he ever comes back in this country.
Yes. Oh.
But it's not even so much about Johnny Depp. It's just what I'm saying is I don't understand that kind of mindset. All right, fine, if that's fine, but I'm like, you're going to cut yourself off just because a particular actor is in a particular movie, and you might be cutting yourself off from something great, some great art or something like that. But all right, whatever. Okay. Either way, yes, James Woods is an asshole.
Yes, and also,
and that's slander, not libel.
Oh.
Not even slander because we know it's true.
Yes, we have the proof right here in front of us. Oh, but yeah, and I didn't even think about it when I put this in the file, but I'm also seeing it extend to like internet personalities too, like those that take political sides or whatever, make them known, and people just outright stopping watching their shows over it, even though they do a really good job. So it's kind of the same thing there. When it comes to me personally, when it comes to things like that, I'm a little on the fence because it's like, on the one hand they do good shit, but on the other hand, they support this really horrible thing, and it's like, and their views actually help them get money. So, oh God, Kat, what do you have to say about this?
My main thought, and it's been my thought for the last couple of weeks, is just that there are people in this world who should simply not have social media outlets, because everything that they say turns into a big giant pile of shit. I'm talking, of course, about President-elect Trump, who every time he opens up his probably very expensive laptop and says anything on Twitter, it just turns into a giant shit fest because that man does not know how to speak the English language and not look like an idiot. And I'm like, if his team loved him and wanted him to be a success, they would take his Twitter away. And James Wood is another one of those people where you're like, maybe you shouldn't have Twitter. Maybe for the sake of anything else you want to do again for the rest of your life, maybe you should not speak out loud on the internet.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit there. I mean, freedom of speech, yeah, that is your right to do it. But that doesn't mean it's a good idea to do so.
Yeah.
Uh,
It always goes back to you have freedom of speech. You are not free from the consequences of what you say.
hmm Just wow. So yeah, James Woods, asshole.
James Woods, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
James Woods.
Yes.
It's the weirdest thing. If he's this big alt-right supporter, why the fuck did he work with Seth MacFarlane on Family Guy? Seriously.
Yeah, that is.
Because Seth MacFarlane's politics is like on the complete opposite end from what I understand.
Yeah. Although he did have, oh god, didn't he have like one or two of the Fox News reporters on there too? At one point.
Yeah, well, I don't know how how MacFarlane accomplished. He had fucking Rush Limbaugh on that show, for God's sake.
That's who it was. That's what I was thinking of. Not that far of a leap, but Rush Limbaugh. That's right.
Anyway.
But yeah, so
Perplexing. Very perplexing.
very much so. But I guess it just goes to show he can work with anybody. So which it can be a talent. Oh, so now we're gonna get to a little bit more on the what the fuck scale because holy shit! After let me give you guys an idea how difficult it was for me to get some of the news stories that I've got coming up because for every one of these there's like probably 2 to 5 news stories surrounding somebody involved in the election, whether it's Trump himself, Mike Pence, or the alt-right Nazi motherfuckers, whatever, So it was a little difficult for me. And by the way, this was not counting going into the goddamn politics tab on FARC. This is all the main page. So just to give you guys an idea. So this one is out of New Zealand. They say imitation is the highest form of flattery. If that's the case, the Australian police... Okay, I was wrong. It's Australia. But the news article is out of New Zealand. Weird. Not weird, but... The Australian police officers who pulled a woman over in Perth on Monday must have been feeling pretty special. A photo of a Hyundai with the word police written across the side in blue marker has been widely shared after it was pulled over by police in the CBD. Social media users have been quick to share their thoughts on the paint job. Can hardly tell the difference, wrote one person. Looks like a legit police car, wrote another. Witness Anna Marie Gibbs said she noticed the unusual sight during her lunch break. She was stopped already when I came down out of my office, she said. They were there for quite a while. They were arresting her and searching the car and everything. Others have reported seeing the car around the city. It appears to be missing its rear number plate. and if you click on the article in the doobly-doo, there is a picture of this. And she made it up as closely as possible to like the font and the style of the actual police car thing or whatever, but you can tell it's obviously not the real thing. But just what I want to know is why. Why would you do this? Kat, do you have any thoughts?
I have literally no thoughts about this at all. This is so random. What on earth is going on?
Aaron?
God damn it, Australia. that pretty much sums it up. God damn it, Australia.
Yeah. But hey, you know what? At least it's just a police car. It's just a police car being done up there and no real harm done, just impersonating a police officer, which is a crime outside of an actual theatrical production. So I've mentioned I'm from Florida, so naturally we have to have at least 1 or 2 news stories from Florida. This one's out of Miami. A man who is trying to ride his horse from South Carolina to Key West is facing an animal cruelty charge in South Florida, authorities said. According to a South Florida newspaper, Chris Emerson, 36, was stopped Wednesday morning by Miami-Dade police. Officials determined that Emerson's horse, Trigger, was dangerously malnourished. He's doing it wrong. Lori Wagner runs the rescue stable where Trigger was taken. She said that a horse his size needs about 25 pounds of hay and quality grains a day. Trigger is currently in the care of the SPCA, which is good. You can see his shoulder blades, the top of his spine, the individual vertebrae on his spine, all of his ribs. He's using this horse as a way to make money, and the horse is the one who paid for it, said Wagoner. Wow. Police said Emerson used the horse to make money. Police believe Emerson used the horse to make money and panhandled his way to Miami. Officials said Emerson had 2 plastic bags stuffed with lawn trimmings for the horse to eat.
Yeah, because that's healthy.
Yeah, that again, you're doing it wrong. I don't own
Oh,
a
way
horse.
wrong.
I don't even own a horse, and I know this. According to reports, Emerson said that he left Greenwood, South Carolina about 5 months ago and decided to ride his horse to Key West after he got divorced and crashed his truck. Emerson told authorities he wasn't sure how he would care for the horse when he reached his destination. You didn't think this all the way through, sir. Obviously. This is Miami. Miami is not known for having, the world's largest amount of horse stables. They're not known for that. They might have them there.
Actually, not Miami proper, but out on the Big Cypress Reservation, yeah.
Okay, I can stand corrected. But even still, he may,
But he was going to Key West, so he still had a ways to go, regardless.
Yeah. But it's just, I mean, okay, I understand.
The thing about horses is that they're notoriously expensive to keep up with. Like, it's sort of anything having to do with horses is sort of the rich man's sport or the rich man's pet or whatever. Normal people can afford horses. It's either the rich man's thing or the farmer's thing. There's really nobody else who just has horses. Because you have to feed them, you have to house them. These things are all very expensive. So, like, anybody who's like, I've got 2 bags of grass clippings, that'll take care of my horse, is a fucking moron.
Yeah, and I have to speak to this because, I am from a family of cowboys. I really am. My sister did rodeo. My grandfather was one of the most well-respected horse trainers in the country. And, this is just...
yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, folks, let this be a lesson. If you're going to have a horse, do your research first. This actually puts the last episode of Full House a little bit into perspective, at least the first part of it, because there was the rich snob who thought Danny Tanner was stable help, and it's like, yeah, that's what brought that up there. It's basically, yeah, that was a weird tangent. So we're going to stay in Florida. Go a little bit further north in Florida, though. This kind of speaks to my expertise. These next 2 stories do, especially. A Central Florida man said the state of Florida is discriminating against him. It won't let him take the test to obtain his commercial driver's license because he is deaf. Now, I know what most people are thinking to begin with. Well, no fucking shit, he's deaf. He can't hear shit. We'll get to that later. I love the big trucks, I'm tired of the little small cars, said Floyd McLean, speaking through local news using an American Sign Language interpreter. It's not the sounds, but the feeling of the open road that McLean is chasing. Don't we all, buddy? I love traveling, he said. I love going around and driving. I love the beautiful trees and doing that solo. I enjoy that time. Hey, I know that feeling. That's why I'm a solo driver. So becoming a commercial truck driver seemed like a logical choice. Except he's deaf. There's slight hearing. I have some residual on my right side, none on my left, he said. That sort of deafness is not a problem for dozens of deaf men and women across the country who already have their CDLs. That's because in 2013, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration announced it would grant hearing exemptions to eligible deaf interstate truckers. According to the lawsuit McLean filed against the state of Florida, more than 270 hearing requirement exemptions have been granted. McLean got his waiver, but still, Florida will not allow him to take the CDL test. You have a license, and so then why can't you have a license, and so then why can't I, McLean asked. I'm qualified. I went through, I did all my work for the paperwork to prove with my physical for the federal. I got my necessary waiver for the hearing. I'm ambulatory. I'm a strong guy. I feel good. The only thing is the deafness. But an email McLean got from the trucking school he briefly attended, and by the way, I can speak to the briefness about it. These trucking schools usually last about 3 weeks. And all it really is just getting you in there and pretty much cramming for the state exam. That's pretty much all it is. The trucking school is prohibiting us from testing deaf students because they have not been given guidance from the federal sector on how to properly and safely administer these tests to individuals who are deaf. my first question to that is, did they try?
It's Florida, probably not.
Yeah, and yeah, and he gives an example of how how his hearing doesn't really affect his driving. An example is when ambulances, emergency vehicles, or whatever, there's a visual cue, and he can see in the mirrors. Then I know immediately because he's scanning, looking at his mirrors like you do. And so he could pull on over. But when somebody is going with an auditory cue, that's going to be a little bit slower in comparison, because you're not looking, you're listening, and sound travels a little bit slower than light does. So, and of course with his ears, he's mostly deaf, so his other senses, if I'm remembering right, if one sense is kind of lower or whatever, then the other senses kind of pick up the slack a little bit. So at least I don't remember if that's been a proven thing or not, but it could be something like that. But now, to speak to the deafness and all of that, he is right. He has the point there, using his example. Because as a truck driver, you need to be scanning your mirrors. They say you should scan them probably about every 5 to 7 seconds. You're driving and then check a mirror or what have you. And then that's what they tell you going through school. As you get out on the open road, it's obviously not going to always be 5 to 7 seconds, especially if you're alone on the goddamn highway. But it's the recommended thing to do, and it's the thing you have to do when you're taking your driver's test. Whether it's for a company or whether it's for a state. Yes, companies will test you too. So there is a lot of visual there. And if we're going to talk about audio being a problem, if there are any other drivers like me out there, I have and will probably do again blast music out of the goddamn truck. I have went down the road blasting Ninja Sex Party out of my truck. And pretty loud. This thing has got a really good sound system. So it's hard for me to hear certain things sometimes. And then,
tune in again next week on Thespian Talk when Gomer will talk about how he's looking for a new job.
It's honestly, it's all within of course, it's all within safety regulations, of course.
Of course it is.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
No, but in all seriousness,
we don't believe you, Gomer. Are you understanding the sarcasm?
No, but in all seriousness, things like that, that does take away from the hearing a little bit. They do happen. And to be able to have a visual lock as well, it's probably a little bit better. Because even without the music, these damn engines are loud. So it is harder to hear. Like a lot of these places that a truck will deliver to, they tell you to turn off the engine. Partially for environment, partially because so you can actually hear the goddamn people. So, yeah, things get loud. I don't know why I went to the music first, but oh well. That is a thing. So, if he's got his exemption and he's mostly deaf, I say, Florida, give him the thing. Just do it, man. God damn it, Florida. And god damn it, Rick Scott. And also god damn it, Florida, for re-electing Marco Rubio. Yeah. Ugh. But oh well.
Has nothing to do with the actual story, just cause.
Yeah. So yeah. Do either of you have anything to add from a non-CDL holding perspective?
No.
Nope. Sorry.
No. If there were. This was clearly a story meant for Gomer, who is both a trucker and living in Florida. For us non-truckers not living in Florida, this is really not a story.
Yeah. Although this next one does involve a truck driver again, and this got my eye because of the headline, which I put in our file. Truck hits bridge wins. And okay, you two have driven around. You two drive around, you'll see like the height signs or whatever, like right before you hit a bridge, you'll have a sign like 14.2 or something like that. I'm pretty sure everybody's seen them. There's a reason they're there. For those who don't understand, and we may well have somebody who doesn't. That's fine. I'm here to explain. Those are clearance markers for trucks, because trucks usually are about 13.6. So if you have any less than 13.6 clearance, your truck gonna get damaged. Your bridge gonna get damaged. Shit's gonna happen. And this is an example of that. A transport trailer roof lays on 2nd Doug Hill Road after a driver collided with a train bridge on November 23rd. Transport truck making its way along 2nd Doug Hill Road in Quinte, I don't know what state it's in, West Wednesday afternoon, hit a bridge, tearing its roof off. And the incident occurred after 2 p.m. Now, okay, put yourself into into the mind of a truck driver for a moment. Okay? You see, you're driving along, and I've already told you that our things require 13.6 clearance. That's 13 feet 6 inches. You see a sign that points out that the bridge you are about to approach is, let's see if it's just the roof off, I would say, let's say 13.2. Okay? It's below the threshold. Kat, what is the first thing you would do?
Panic.
Okay. Aaron, what is the first thing you would do?
Stop.
Exactly! He's not even a driver, he gets it. Although, to be fair, I would probably do both. And I'll probably panic while I'm stopping. But yeah, that's what you do. You don't try and go under it. So, yeah, basically, stupid trucker story.
I'm reminded of that Bill Engvall bit where he was talking about how somebody told him this, what happened in there. Guy was driving, got his truck stuck under an overpass. Cop came up to him and said, "You get your truck stuck?" And the guy without stopping, "Nope, just delivering this overpass."
And ran out of gas. Yes! I thought the exact same thing, man. Oh.
Here's your snack.
Yes. Oh, and yeah, our last actual news story this week. We got a little bit extra, but we'll see where we're at on time. Out of Fort Pierce, again, Florida.
Prepare to cringe. Prepare to cringe.
Ladies, prepare yourselves. I am so sorry. Becky, I'm sure you're listening. I will make it up to you. I promise. You will enjoy it. Fort Pierce. A woman accused of cutting a man with a glass crack pipe appears to have also sliced herself as she plucked the pipe from her private parts, according to an arrest affidavit. I don't even have a vagina, and I am cringing. Rosalia Garcia, 28, of Okeechobee, was arrested October 31st after the incidents in Fort Pierce. The man identified as the victim told Fort Pierce police that he and Garcia argued about $20. Said she got aggressive, so he called 911. He told police that while he was on the phone, Garcia cut his neck with a glass crack pipe. Ow! Garcia denied it, saying the victim cut himself while shaving. The victim said Garcia is a crack addict. Garcia conceded she uses crack, but she says she threw the crack pipe away 2 days earlier. The victim said Garcia may have flushed the pipe down the commode. On the way to jail, Garcia told police she had a crack pipe in her vagina, an area not often associated with storing goods and sundries. Oh my god, that line is like, no fucking shit. No fucking shit, it's not often associated. Unless you watch What the Fuck Is Wrong With You on a regular basis.
Goods and sundry. What the fuck? It's a vagina, not a goddamn Cracker Barrel.
No, it is not. It's just no. A female officer escorted Garcia to a restroom, and Garcia extracted the smoking device. After the removal of the glass pipe, Rosalia stated she thinks she cut herself with a glass crack pipe, the affidavit states. She was arrested on charges including aggravated battery and possession of drug paraphernalia. Kat, have you besotted?
So my brain is going through so many thoughts right now. My first thought was, well, women are used to bleeding from down there. So the blood isn't really as much of a factor as you think it would be.
That's not what I was cringing about.
But the whole cutting yourself in there, I mean, I just don't want to talk about it because I'm too busy like squirming in my seat going, yeah.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. It's okay, no, there's, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, for yeah, very sensitive down there for somebody to shove a crack pipe up there. You could
Yeah.
accidentally do pretty. You could accidentally hurt somebody to the point where it's similar to a guy being kicked in the balls by just not having your nails smooth enough.
I'm actually not thinking about that so much as the risk of infection because
Yeah.
okay, this is going to be really gross, but women have a lot of stuff shoved up there.
Mm-hmm.
Dicks, dildos, other things starting with D. It's about sanitation. Um, in my opinion, I don't know what size crack pipe we're looking at, but a not very big crack pipe would probably not be as bad as you think it would be, except for the sanitary level of it, because that shit gets infected and your body wants to not have things inside of it unless it's meant to be there. And there's no good way to talk about this, but basically I'd be more worried about getting an infection. And then you cut yourself up there and then you're definitely going to get an infection.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Just oh. Oh, Aaron, any last thoughts on this one?
I don't think I can top anything Kat has said. I don't think I can.
I can't either. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Okay, so that is it for our actual news for this week. I did have something a little bit extra, just in case, because things for those who might want an idea of how things go when I get into editing. This is going to be editing fun because we've had to stop and start a couple of times and then edit things around that. So hopefully this may take it over time a little bit over the usual time. It may not, but I thought this was kind of interesting to bring forward. It is an article called 14 Things Harder to Get Into Than Harvard. Because as we all know, Harvard is one of those, it's one of those top schools. Everybody knows Harvard. Harvard University.
It's Harvard.
Yes.
It's Harvard.
Precisely.
I say, Chet, don't talk to him. He went to Yale.
You're pretty much right, too. Oh. So, all right. Harvard is one of the most prestigious universities in the world. Cambridge, Massachusetts school accepted just 5.2% of roughly 39,000 applications for its class of 2020. As Harvard President Drew Gilpin-Faust said in 2014, we could fill our class twice over with valedictorians. The school seeks out students who not only have high grades, but also have outstanding achievements under their belts, from overcoming homelessness to starting their own nonprofits. The students who manage to catch the attention of admissions officers overcome exceptional odds, they should maintain some perspective. Many things in life, like landing a job at some Walmart locations, are harder to achieve than getting into that prestigious university. Such as, I'll take the first one, number 1, a spot at one of New York City's top elementary schools. Elementary! The elementary admissions process in New York City is utterly grueling. Among exemplary schools, one stands out as the gold standard, Hunter College Elementary School. Each year, Hunter chooses 25 girls and 25 boys from all of Manhattan to be admitted into its incoming kindergarten class. They're hand-selected from a pool of about 2,500 applicants, according to the website Inside Schools. That makes the acceptance rate for Hunter 2%.
And a pile of psychological problems from overachieving parents later in life.
Oh, yeah. Again, 2,500. All of Manhattan. You just Aaron, why don't you take the next one?
Yeah, because this is television related, and that's my bag. A job as an NBC page. Landing an internship-like role in the National Broadcasting Company's page program is competitive, to say the least. Famously, the character Kenneth Parcell was a page on 30 Rock. For example, in 2016, there were 2,600 applicants for 120 positions for a 4.6% acceptance rate. The NBC page role is a year-long entry-level role where employees perform PR responsibilities, among other tasks, depending on their department.
See,
I hope this is a paid internship, because I never really understood the internship program. down as a full-time job. I'm like, how the hell are you supposed to live? I don't understand how that works.
Yeah.
I don't understand that at all. I've never understood that.
Yeah, it's like you have a thing, just pay people for it. Kat, why don't you take the next one?
A spot at an innovative startup college. College startup Nerva Schools has received 16,000 applicants for 306 available places this year, the Financial Times reported. Its model different colleges resemble. Students don't stay in one place during their 4-year education. Oh, that sounds really great. They spend time in up to 7 residence houses in San Francisco, California, Berlin, Germany, Buenos Aires, Argentina, Seoul, South Korea, Bangalore, India, Istanbul, Turkey, and London, England. At 1.9%, the acceptance rate for the unconventional college is far lower than at Stanford. Yeah, but that sounds amazing. I want to go there.
I do too.
It depends. It depends. Are the travel expenses included with your tuition?
I would hope so.
I would too.
Who knows?
Oh.
But it sounds amazing.
Yeah. Oh, and I've got the next one, the American Dream. Oh boy, I'm getting the rougher ones. Oh. A recent report from researchers at Harvard and Berkeley universities showed that in many major U.S. cities, it's very hard to achieve a rags to riches success story. Don't I know it? The report analyzes the number of people who were born into the lowest income quintile, but ended up in the highest income quintile. The results don't bode well for upward socioeconomic mobility. Chances were below 5% in Atlanta, Charlotte, Jacksonville, Florida, Columbus, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, Milwaukee, and Indianapolis. Oh hey, I live there. Even at the top of the list, people in San Jose showed just a 12.9% chance of living the American dream. That's barely over an eighth. So also
us confirming what plenty of us have known for years, that the game is rigged and the American dream is dead.
Yeah.
Womp 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 womp.
Yeah, so if any politician Republicans tries to tell you that you can achieve this rag to riches success story, don't trust them. It's bullshit. Just make your way the best you can. You know, do what you're gonna do. Don't expect to be a quintillionaire. Just don't expect. Aaron, why don't you take the next one?
All right. NASA's class of 2017. The NASA class of 2017 received 8,300 applications this year, far less than 15 slots. That means if 14 people are selected, the acceptance rate will be 0.08%, Business Insider's Natalie Waters and Jacqueline Smith reported. For applications open December 14th and closed Thursday, but that is just the beginning of an 18-month process that will end with the selection of 8 to 14 individuals for the opportunity to become astronaut candidates, the official press release explains.
I can understand why. Because that's some rigorous training.
Space ain't for sissies.
No.
It is not. It just is not. We do not live in the Dune universe yet. You got to be very specialized in order to go up into space. We don't have that mass space travel yet.
You literally have a better chance of going to space in a film than you do of actually going to space.
Yes. Oh. Kat, why don't you take the next one?
Okay, the next one. A competitive music institute in Philadelphia. The Curtis Institute of Music in Philadelphia has an even lower acceptance rate than Stanford, as U.S. News and World Report previously noted. Curtis has an acceptance rate of around 4%, but is more of a conservatory than a traditional university. So is this like you actually have to prove yourself in order to get in? It is what you do and not who you know?
Maybe.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What?
Oh,
Something based on actual merit?
ZOMG!
My
What the
God.
hell is that? That's socialism right there, I'm sure some people would say.
Yeah. I was like, but yeah, I can't be mad at that. I really can't. And I've been to Philadelphia recently. There's a really good sandwich place there. It's really awesome. But
My family, we call it Philadelphia. It's not a clean place.
That I can also attest to. Next one is a job at Citadel. Landing a job on Wall Street is notoriously hard. but gaining employment at a hedge fund at hedge fund giant Citadel seems to be nearly impossible. Founder and CEO Ken Griffin noted on CNBC that the hedge fund planned to interview 10,000 candidates to fill 300 job openings. That equates to a mere 3% acceptance rate. Again, it sounds like it's one of those where you kind of this one probably does, have a who you know and what you know thing too, but I'm sure there's not 300 positions based on that. There's got to be some that has some merit. Plus, I would think in order to to do Wall Street, play the stock market, you'd have to have some intelligence in there. Otherwise, you just wouldn't work. It wouldn't work out there. You'd sit there, you'd be like, I'm gonna put all my stock in Krispy Kreme, just because. Although that might actually be a viable thing. I don't know. And it's a line of like.
What most people don't realize is one of the interview questions: do you have the complete screenplay from the movie Wall Street memorized? Can you recite Gordon Gekko's "Greed is Good" speech right here, right now?
How often do you thump on your chest? Just get it done, guys.
Exactly. Aaron, why don't you take the next one?
All right, the top 50 posts on a friend's news feed. When Facebook compiles your nudes feed, that's a completely different.
This is the other Facebook.
Nudes feed is Count Jacula's Facebook equivalent. But if you're familiar with Count Jacula's Twitter account, you'll know how sadly true that is. Anyway, we like you, Jack. It's all good.
Yes.
Facebook compiles your news feed. It chooses from roughly 1,500 different posts. The company uses an algorithm based on the popularity and relevance of posts, along with other factors, to decide what goes where, rather than, just posting everything in the order it was posted. That would actually make sense. As a result, there's a 3.3% chance a certain post finds its way into the top 50 stories on someone's news feed. If you want to boost your chances, posts with photos do better than links or text-based posts. And at least one of them will be from your racist uncle.
Yeah. Thankfully, my racist uncles don't typically follow me. I have a possibly racist ex-uncle who follows me, and I don't block him or delete him or anything because you know why? I don't want to live in a fucking echo chamber. And I've probably ranted and complained about this before. I don't remember if I've done it on the show, but I know I have, at least to Becky. But whenever I go on Facebook on like the computer, like on a laptop or whatever, something other than my phone, I have to tell it to do the most recent. It doesn't do it automatically. So there is an option to have the most recent. You just got to know it's there, which most people apparently don't realize. So if you didn't before and you know now, congratulations, you learned something. Take this knowledge and go forth into the world and spread it because it is good. Also might explain why some of my views are so low after I post to Facebook. No, I kid. Kat, why don't you take the next one?
The Secret Service. Protecting the President of the U.S. isn't a job for any run-of-the-mill bodyguard or security detail. The full responsibilities of the Secret Service are, secret, but agents remain with the President and his family 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Other important government officials like the Vice President and his or her family, there's been a her, also receive protection usually even after they leave their positions. For these reasons, the Secret Service accepted less than 1% of its 15,600 special agent applications in 2011, Bloomberg reported.
Yeah, this is another one of those where it's like, yeah, very understandable.
Although I don't think we would mind taking a lower percentage for the current president-elect. Some of us might not. I advocate nothing.
Yeah.
Thespian. Those are my opinions and not those of my co-hosts.
Exactly. But less than 1%. Sheesh.
That's probably because less than 1% of 15,600 people are willing to take a bullet for the president.
Yeah, and whoever the president is doesn't really matter. It's the fact that you want me to take a bullet for, that gonna hurt. So, and I'm willing to bet it's a lot of these Second Amendment quote unquote Second Amendment heroes that think that because they're a good guy with a gun, they're gonna automatically, beat the bad guys and shit. Guess what? Sometimes the bad guys win, and you basically have to be a red shirt. You are basically signing up to be a red shirt.
It's like being in the army and being a cop kind of at the same time, because you always have to be on the lookout, and you have to be fully dedicated to a higher cause. Like
It's essentially
it's so insane.
it's essentially being a spy, more or less, only not actually doing any actual espionage.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, my parents were spies and they didn't do any actual espionage, but they also weren't required to take a bullet for anybody either.
Yeah. So the next one up is a green card. Up to 15 million people apply to the U.S. green card lottery every year, all hoping for a chance at life in America, the Wall Street Journal has reported. But only about 50,000 green cards are available. The odds of obtaining a green card, known officially as a diversity visa, I didn't know this before, vary depending on the applicant's region. If you're not from Australia, New Zealand, or Pacific Island, the odds aren't good. I wonder why. Fewer than 2% of applicants around the world end up getting a visa. The rate is about 6% in Oceania because of fewer applications and relatively higher quotas. 50,000 out of 15 million. And they wonder why we have an illegal immigrant problem. You know, maybe if immigration was made a little bit easier for people who just want to come and live here because, hey, it's a lot better than wherever it is they're coming from, or maybe they just want a change of scenery, then, you know, maybe we wouldn't have the immigration problems that we have. Just saying. And of course, a wall ain't gonna fucking work, just ask the Chinese. Aaron, why don't you take the next one?
Right. The Indian Institute of Management. While Stanford lets in about 4.7% of applicants, not even 1% get accepted to India's top business school, Bloomberg Business Week reported in 2013. The Indian Institute of Management in Ahmedabad received 173,866 applications for its 2012 to 2014 class. The university has the luxury of being extra choosy because of India's large population and the vast number of students with outstanding grades and test scores. So you think it's hard getting into a good college here?
Yeah, go over there where, you know, the education system is actually worth a damn. Like I warned earlier, a lot of little snarks coming out of me. I warned people. Let's see the next one. Kat, you got the next one?
The ranks of successful startups. Foursquare's Michael Lee began working on another startup in 2014, the Data Incubator. It's essentially a boot camp for data scientists. While many programming PhDs have solid research skills, few can meet the pace of a startup. They need training. While Data Incubator hasn't released specific statistics on its inaugural classes, Lee wrote on Quora? How do you say that word?
Quora sounds right.
Quora?
Quora. I think it's like a quorum. You know?
Oh, well, that would make sense. Quora, that his startup has an exceptionally low admission rate of under 5%. So it's like a boot camp to learn how to do a startup, and you can't even get into it. That's crazy.
Yeah. Although it does seem rather new so far, and you got to make sure, you know, I would assume, and I'm probably talking out my ass here, that, you know, you have to make sure that it's a viable thing, that it actually can work out, you know, and so forth, you know, thus it's exceptionally low. And then once you have the credibility with those that can actually come through and succeed and show, yes, this is a good thing, then perhaps maybe that admission rate will rise. I would hope. Or maybe not. I don't know. All I know is they're rather new, and I could be totally wrong. But speaking of tech, actually, I want to take the last one. So, Aaron, why don't you take this next one?
All right, a job at Google. After leaving Microsoft in 2009, Don Dodge became a developer developer. To the lengthy explanation of the hiring process there on his personal blog, hinting at the company's level of exclusivity, the Next Web reported. In his words, Google receives about 1 million applications every year, but hires only 1,000 to 4,000 people. Best case scenario, that means only 0.4% of hopefuls land a job. Yeah.
Damn.
I have nothing to add to that.
It was like, wait, was there like, holy shit? But yeah. And I know somebody's gonna be like, well, wait, Jacksepticeye's making his money on Google, so Markiplier, but that's also YouTube. Yeah, they're owned by Google, but that's YouTube.
They work for themselves. They don't work for Google.
Yeah, there is also that. So yeah, the YouTubers don't count. The last one, a job at some Walmart locations. Met with both merriment and protest, Walmart came to Washington, D.C. at the end of 2013. The store received more than 23,000 applications, but hired just 600 associates, NBC Washington reported. That's a 2.6% acceptance rate. While many Stanford graduates can expect a six-figure income, Walmart employees pocket an average of $11.83 an hour, or nearly $25,000 annually, according to the company. Walmart, always low wages, always. And believe me, I know about the whole hard to get a job at some Walmart locations. For a time, I lived all the way out in Casper, Wyoming. In fact, during the initial incarnation of the show, I lived out there and did a few episodes while I was up there. And I managed to get a job at one of the local Walmarts up there. Wasn't too bad. And then I decided, okay, you know what? I need to come back. I needed to go back to Florida. And so I did, and I was told, yeah, just resign here and then reapply down there. And so I did. And then I did again. And then I did again. And around where I live, I'm in a rural area, so there's like several Walmarts I can choose from in different cities. I applied to each of the 3 to 4 Walmarts within my area several times over the years. Not one of them gave me a goddamn callback. And this was before and after moving to Wyoming. In fact, even in Indy, when I was between driving jobs, I applied at a Walmart. Didn't get shit. So,
yeah, same thing happened to me.
Yeah.
When I was in need of a job. And it was like, well, why can't you get a job at Walmart? I said, probably because I'm not the type of person who's going to just shut up and do what they say.
Yeah. And it's
because if you take their damn personality test, you can pretty much, after you've taken a couple of personality tests, you know what they're looking for. And you look at some of those options, I'm like, okay. You just want people who are going to punch in and take whatever abuse you want to heap on them. Okay, I see.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's that much different now, but last I checked, they don't like paying overtime, so they try to get away with it. It was actually a point of pride when I worked at Walmart in Wyoming that I got even a little bit of overtime. It wasn't much, but they paid a little bit over, and I'm like, that's what you get for your manager being a total jackass and keeping me after I'm supposed to clock out. So yes. So Walmart, we get some great stuff from you, but you need to treat your employees better. So with that is going to be it for this week. I know probably ran over a little bit longer. I do apologize for that, but sometimes these things happen. Aaron, if we wanted to find you on the social media, where could we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Shallow15. That's SHALLOW15. You can also find me on YouTube, youtube.com/DubiousKhan, DUBIOUSKHAN. Also on the rarely updated Tumblr, notes from the idiotbox.tumblr.com. And of course, videos and other assorted nonsense can be found on rtgomer.com.
What? And Kat, if we wanted to find you on the social medias, where could we find you?
You can hit me up on the social medias on Twitter at LabyrinthCat and Facebook.com/NerdistCat. And if you want to check out my other show, What the Fuck, over on 1201beyond.com, and my other show, Nerd to Third Power, which is on YouTube and iTunes and This Week in Geek. And if you're a big fucking anime nerd like me, I have a video series called Your Favorite Anime Rocks. Our group is called the Positive Service Announcement Team. We're on Facebook, so give us a like and check us out over on YouTube.
Sweet, and you really should. They have it's fun. They have fun. And speaking of anime, Penny and Stocking might be finally starting a second season, hopefully soon. Yes,
I've heard that it's going to be exciting times.
Yes. And as for me,
I have never seen it.
Oh, you should. It's fun. It's very vulgar, but it's fun as fuck. Oh, but if you want to find me on the social medias, you can find me on the Twitters, the YouTubes, the Tumblrs, and most places at Gomer21XX. You can also find my Facebook fan page, Gomer Ranting Thespian. My stuff also gets posted to rtgomer.com and nerdvice.com, both of which I admit has been a little bit slow on my end because, well, I've been on the road, and I've also been slow on getting backlogs up on Nerdvice. I apologize for that for those who actually go to Nerdvice to check out my backlog there. You can also find this show and, of course, my other shows. You can also find them on iTunes. Go check them out, subscribe, leave a review, all that good shit. You know, it helps us get a little bit more noticed, and you know, hey, whatever, you know, that kind of stuff works there too. And of course, we do accept. Well, I don't think we had any for this particular episode, but the show does have its own Tumblr, thespiantalk.tumblr.com. You can submit news articles. You can ask questions. Ask box is always open. Just send them in, and you know we'll read them out on the show. As we discovered, we will discuss the things like is the Mega Man Star Force series kind of an example of a magical boy anime, which I think that was our previous episode. So yeah, it's you know send in a lot of things. So with that, thank you guys for listening. I do hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, this is Gomer, the Ranting Thespian, with Aaron Mills, aka Dubious Khan, and the cat, signing off.
Thespian Talk is an RT Gomer Productions presentation. Our show's theme is Kick Shock by Kevin MacLeod. Find out more at incompetech.com. If you like this show and want to help support future episodes, head over to patreon.com/Gomer21XX. For a contribution as little as $1 per production, you can get early access to all future productions, as well as monthly Patreon-only vlogs and announcements. Our show's artwork was produced by the talented Becky Hopkins, who can be commissioned by going to patreon.com/BeckyHop. Check us out on iTunes or visit rtgomer.com for more great shows.